The Atlanta housing market is going absolutely bonkers. There are many homes that are going over asking price, selling in a matter of days, and it feels like the wild, wild west again. And all of this because of the huge shortage of homes in Atlanta. In this video, we're going to break it all down, and if you stay until the end, I'm going to share with you a glaring opportunity that is hidden in plain sight that only a fraction of buyers in Atlanta know about. If we haven't met yet, I'm Vicky Bryant, a real estate agent specializing in the South Metro Atlanta suburbs. I provide relocation assistance to out-of-state buyers, market updates, insights on living in the area, and I showcase stunning homes here. So if you're thinking about relocating to the South Metro Atlanta area, make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a beat. So we're in the middle of the worst housing affordability crisis, and it's mostly driven by mortgage rates, which have gone from 3% just a few years ago all the way up to 7% and over, and then kind of back down a little bit, and now we're sitting at about 6.8%. And this, my friends, is the elephant in the room that is trumping around right now. So if you're a homeowner in Atlanta and you're considering selling, you're likely sitting on a 3 to 3.5% interest rate. That's below the current level of inflation, which inflation is hovering right around 5% right now. By holding on to your mortgage, you are actually making money, or you're protecting your savings from significant losses due to inflation. And let's face it, rates as low as 2.5% to 3% are probably something we won't see again in our lifetime. So if you're a seller right now, you're faced with a dilemma. Do you give up your advantageous interest rate of 3% in exchange for a higher mortgage rate at 6.8%? And let's just say you can refinance down the road. But at best, what are you going to end up with? 4.5%, 5.5% in the next 2 to 3 years? That's a huge jump, and is also the reason why many families who are growing and need more space, and families who are downsizing and need a smaller home, are postponing their intentions to sell their existing homes in 2023. So we're going to break it all down in this video, and we're starting with a survey that was conducted by Realtor.com in February of this year. If you look at the article on your screen, according to the results of this survey, 82% of the surveyed individuals who were looking to buy and sell a home at the same time felt like they're locked into their home by low mortgage rates. Another point of this article revealed that more than half of the sellers surveyed plan to wait until rates come down before selling, which pretty much means that the only sellers who are putting their homes on the market right now are people who really need to sell. Those are people who are going through divorce, they have some financial trouble, death in the family, or people who have rental homes and they're tired of being landlords and they just want to cash in on that great market right now. Which kind of explains why the buyers who are actively looking for homes right now are having such a hard time finding anything they like. And if they find something that catches their attention, there are 20 other buyers looking at the same house. So if you look at this graph on your screen, this is the Redfin data center. You can clearly see that the shortage of homes for sale is not unique to Atlanta, but it's a nationwide issue. New listings this year, represented in blue on your screen, are significantly lower compared to the last few years. I need to make a nuanced observation here that the amount of buyer demand that we're currently seeing right now in the marketplace does not consider all those sellers who will turn around and buy a home once the mortgage rates actually drop. So let's talk about what is happening on the ground right here in the South Metro Atlanta market. So we're definitely better than we were a few years back, but we are still in a pretty strong seller's market. And that's because there isn't a great incentive for sellers to sell when we not only have stubbornly high home prices still, but we also have double the mortgage rates, a lot higher than what the sellers are sitting on with their existing mortgages. Now, if you're currently looking at the market because you're considering selling or you're thinking about buying a home, I know those graphs are great and they really help visualize things, but I want to show you some concrete examples from a local MLS of homes that went under contract incredibly fast in the month of April and May so far. So look at this house in Newnan, listed for $248,500, one day on the market, listed in April of this year. This next house in Newnan, listed for $320,000,
0 days on the market. It literally went into contract in less than 1 day. It was listed in May 18th of this month. Another house in Sharpsburg listed at $589,000, 1 day on the market. It was listed in April 27th, not long ago. The next house in Sonoy listed at $610,000, just 2 days on the market, listed in April 20th, last month. And check this one out. In Sharpsburg, listed for $3.3 million, 0 days on the market. Again, listed in April 26th of this year, which is last month.
This is crazy to see happening right now. Homes going under contract in a matter of hours and days in all price points, not just the affordable ranges, despite the high home prices and the double mortgage rates that we have today. Now, if you enjoy these market update videos, if you find them helpful, then let me know by hitting the like button below, and while you're at it, subscribe, because things can change rather quickly, but I'm going to be right here every single week, keeping you updated every step of the way. And if you're buying or selling a home and you like my style, you like what I have to say, I would love to work with you. I put about 95% of my really good stuff on YouTube, but I've got to keep some stuff in reserve so I can really make my clients stand out. So if you'd like to be a part of it, reach out. All my contact info is below, and let's have a conversation about where we're at and how we can put all that stuff to work so you have an absolute advantage regardless of what the market does. Now let's go back to the video. While those several examples will give you a snapshot of what's actually happening with pre-existing or older homes in Atlanta area, what is happening with newer homes is profound, and this is possibly the biggest advantage, the biggest opportunity for you as a buyer in today's Atlanta real estate market. So let's take a look at this Fortune magazine article that just came out explaining why that's the case. So here's one of the best paragraphs that sums it up really well. So what investors are seeing that buyers and sellers aren't. The new home market has gained an advantage over the existing home market. Not only does the existing resale market has little inventory available for sale, it has also been stickier on the price side, with many sellers refusing to budge. The lack of competition, coupled with sky-high existing home prices, gives builders an edge if they're able to offer some discount, like mortgage rate buy-downs, for example. That's a very important distinction to make. Home builders are closing in on the majority of new supply in Atlanta right now. But the one big difference when it comes to negotiating is that builders actually have to sell those homes, right? Because they have loans and financing out there. The longer they don't sell, the more money they're going to be paying to the bank. It's going to eat up their bottom line. Where home sellers are sitting in a position where they got 3% interest rate, and they can just choose not to sell and instead remodel or update their home to suit their needs. So in other words, home builders are a lot more motivated to sell than the typical homeowner at this point. They also go on to say that the reason builders offer a huge advantage over a resale or existing home is because builders have built-in margins that allow for incentives and mortgage rate buy-downs. And here's an explanation of that. It goes on to say, they, the builders, are working with profit margins that allow them to do those things, which is offer discounts. They do have budgets for incentives where they will choose to spread those incentives around where it's most effective. They have to move forward. The bottom line is this year might not be as great, but they will still move forward and make those sales happen. Besides, in a lot of cases, they are it. Resale isn't putting inventory on the market. So there are two shocking things about this article I want to point out. Number one, the nation's biggest, highest producing builders are actually outperforming the S&P 500 right now. As you can see on this chart, D.R. Horton, Toll Brothers, Lennar, Pulte, they're all outperforming the black line of the S&P 500. And point number two, cancellation rates. As you can see, the cancellation rates hit their peak when mortgage rates really spiked in the last quarter of 2022. A lot of people were under contract to build homes, and they just couldn't go forward when the mortgage rates hit the 7% mark and even over. But since then, cancellations have decreased substantially, and they're getting much closer to the norm. which has led experts to believe that the housing slump that we went through for the past several months is already behind us. Ultimately, all this stuff begs the question, what does this mean for me if I'm buying or selling? Well, for sellers, this one's easy. We are in the middle of a seller's market. It's kind of similar to what we've seen over the past couple of years. You've got all the leverage. So make up your mind, create a bidding war, price low enough to get enough eyeballs, and you're going to make a lot of money on the sale of your house right now. The problem is turning around and buying a house. So if you're in a position where you're just looking to sell, it's probably the best time for you to sell right now. But if you have to turn around and buy, you have to really weigh that out in order to determine if it makes sense for you to buy that home now and refinance down the road, or if it will be better for you to wait a bit longer, knowing that home values will continue to increase a bit, but snatch a lower interest rate down the road. So for home buyers, I got 2 things that will help you sidestep all of the difficulties of this supply shortage. Number 1 is look at new construction homes. We already touched on this. With pre-existing homes, homeowners have an option. They have an out. They can just hold on to the home and not sell. Not everyone has that option, but a large number of homeowners do. Home builders, on the other hand, have all this inventory that's costing them money the longer it doesn't sell. We also know, based on that Fortune article, that builders have built-in buyer incentives into their margins already, which means if we're looking at older homes versus new homes, the best deal you're going to get right now is going to be a new home. But there's one big catch, and that is one of the biggest reasons why you should reach out. Because we can help you negotiate with home builders and it won't cost you a dime to work with us. So you probably know that builders don't negotiate on price, right? Because if they sold home number 1 at a discounted price, then it's going to affect the appraisals for all of the other homes that they're building in a given neighborhood. Which means that you have to negotiate with a builder on the terms, and you have to know on which terms you do have some wiggle room and on which terms you don't. So go ahead and reach out so we can get you the best deal on a brand new home in the Atlanta area. Now, option number 2. Let's say we're not interested in new homes. We don't want to go that route, but we've got an area that we're looking at. We've got a neighborhood that we're really focused on, but there aren't any homes for sale there. Well, my friends, it's time to take matters back into our own hands and start creating our own inventory. So I can't spell all of the details in this video here, but I do have one question for you, which is, if I could get a hold of several home sellers who have raised their hand and would be interested in selling their home, if I can get a hold of them before anyone else knew that they were going to sell their home or before their property hits the market, would you be interested in putting this strategy to work for you? And don't worry, I shoulder all the cost. We just need to make sure you're serious, because when a seller raises their hand, we want to make sure that we're getting these opportunities in front of you before anyone else knows about them. And of course, we're going to have the one goal in mind, that is to be a win-win for all parties involved. The seller won't have to go through the process of traditionally listing their home on the market, and you won't have to go through the process of fighting and going through bidding wars just to get into the house. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you'd like more information, go ahead and reach out to me. We can talk about whether this strategy would make sense for you, or if there's an entirely different strategy that would make even more sense. So that's all I've got for this week. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, please let me know by hitting the like button and subscribe so you can be on top of the latest news and market updates, and I will see you on the next one.